all, my name is Yidan Xi, and I am your MC for the day. In honor of this special day, we call on District Governor-elect Amanda Wendt, past President Robert Fisher, and District Governor Dale Hoy to start us off. Welcome, Amanda.
Good afternoon. We would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri and the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation and also pay our respects to elders past, present and future, and extend that respect to all Indigenous Australians present today.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, David. Today in Rotary is a time of reflection, thanksgiving, and transition. We reflect on a year very well led by our President Reg and our District Governor Dale. We thank them for their service to change lives. And we welcome our new President Adrian and our new District Governor Amanda, who will no doubt imagine new possibilities for us in our club and in our district. We should pause to consider our own role and contribution in Rotary. In what way can we make a difference in this mighty organization with its great motto of service above self? There's a place and a task, big or small, for each and every one of us, if only we let it happen. The incoming RI President has, in her words, urged us to dream big and harness our connections and the power in Rotary to turn those dreams into reality. Let's thank the outgoing team for a job well done and resolve to lend every support to our incoming leaders. If we do so wholeheartedly, just imagine what we will have achieved by this time next year. For good food, friendships, and the opportunity to serve, we give thanks.
Thank you, Robert. There are many ways to describe or toast a Rotary International. I mean, obviously, Rotary Club of Melbourne is one member of some 36,000 clubs around the world. I'd like to focus more on the internationality of Rotary, and it starts here at Rotary Melbourne. You look at the international work this club does. Give every child a future, collaboration of 4 clubs through the centennial of Rotary, now involving clubs all over the country, the Foundation, UNICEF, philanthropic, the government, all focused on actually reducing infant mortality in 9 Pacific countries. The Sewing Machine project in Timor-Leste that's been run through this club. A number of members in this club are actively involved in that volunteer warehouse called Donations in Kind. And I think there's something like 650 containers have been exported around the world to people in need. So this club understands the word international when it comes to international projects. So please raise your glasses and we'll toast to both Rotary International and also the Rotary Club of Melbourne. Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Please, can I have your attention? Members, visitors and guests, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to our final meeting of this Rotary year, our 4,943rd year in our meeting in our 101st year, and of course the 2022 Changeover lunch. We have some distinguished guests here today. and I would like to firstly welcome those. Firstly, the outgoing District Governor Dale Hoy, the newly appointed, unfortunately his wife Maureen can't be here. She's quite unwell, I understand, at present with a flu attack. Newly appointed Governor-elect Amanda Wendt and her partner Greg Harbour. Welcome to both of you. President-elect, just for a little while, not long, Adrian Nelson and his wife Louise, who are accompanied by their children Harry and Charles, and also their supporters of Adrian, his parents, Edith, and past president of Rotary Club of Williamstown, Theo Nelson. We've also got past District Governor Ivan Mackay, Murray Verso, and Ian Knight with his lovely wife, Jenny. Past President Jeff Asher from the Rotary Club of Glen Ira, and David Southwick, the current Deputy Opposition Leader. Also here as our guest is Sap Day for induction shortly, as well as Peter Berg and Gary Fowler, who will both be recognised with Paul Harris Fellow Awards today. We have some visiting visitors, and I'd just like to name them as well. We have Jane DeGitt, a guest of Catherine Baxter, Helen Weeks, a guest of Clive Weeks, Sue Burley, guest of past President Austin Burley, Diane Gillies, guest of Rob Nethercutt, and Lena Scalzo, who's here with Quinn Scalzo. Can I ask you all to join me in welcoming our visitors and guests? Just a brief outline of the order of the day as we go on. The first thing we'll be doing is making a Paul Harris presentation to 2 members. Then we will induct our new member, and following that, I'll give my valedictory address. It's quite a long time allocated for that. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to deliver a bit of a bonus back to the meeting for that. And finally, then, of course, the star of the show, President-elect Adrian Nelson, will be inducted and assume the role for the coming year. So with that, I'm going to adjourn, and it's time for our meal service, and we'll convene again in about 10 or 15 minutes. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, everyone. The Paul Harris Fellow was established in 1957 in honour of Rotary's founder, and is combined with a $1,000 donation in support of humanitarian and educational programs of the Rotary Foundation, funded, implemented and managed by Rotarians and Rotary clubs around the globe. It's a tradition of this club that the naming of a Paul Harris Fellow is based on the contribution of individual members, deserving members of the community and others similar, who practice the Rotary motto of service above self. I'm pleased that we can recognise the efforts today of Gary Fowler and Peter Berg, both as Paul Harris Fellows. Gary, of particular note, and if I could ask both of you to come forward to the podium. Gary, of particular note has been your work on developing the carbon calculator, which is part of the work of the environmental sustainability in this club that was established just in 2020. Gary and Peter co-chair that committee, but Gary has focused a lot of attention on the carbon calculator, and that's put us in the position to both measure carbon emissions in this club and in other clubs. But it's also enabled us to purchase offset credits, which help us then to declare that we're a carbon neutral club. So for his, and Peter of particular note has been, it's been your work in creating the club's annual Environment Sustainability Award, which has brought two amazing awardees to us already for your research, for your finding and then managing the selection of suitable candidates. We say this epitomises service above self. Gary and Peter, you have both exemplified enthusiasm and commitment to the ideals of Rotary and are deserving recipients of this recognition and award. Your sustained commitment of service above self gives me pleasure to present on behalf of the board and our members of the Rotary Club of Melbourne, your Paul Harris Fellow pin. Please join me, everyone, in congratulating Gary and Peter while I get their awards to present.
All right, very, very briefly, thank you very much, Reg, and thank you for this great honour that you've bestowed on Peter and me. It's been a great privilege for us to be involved in this whole area of environmental sustainability, which is, people know, is a new area of service. And I think it has been extremely timely, and it's just wonderful that we've had the opportunity to do some things in that area that's actually demonstrated not only Rotary International's commitment to the environment, but also our club's commitment. And this has been of great interest to a large number of people and is a demonstration of this club's leadership in an important area. So thank you very much indeed, Reg.
Well, thank you, Reg, and the board of approving this honour for myself. It's greatly cherished, and just overall, I think I've been 8.5 years in the Rotary Club of Melbourne, and it's been a great experience, and in a number of roles in different committees, but on this Environmental Sustainability Committee, it's been an exciting challenge, one that's come at the right time in terms of the way the world is moving, progressing. And it's wonderful to actually be working with a committed group of people, not only here in the club, but also through the district, to see all the great initiatives that are underway, supported by, Rotary International, the district and the club. And specifically on the Environmental Sustainability Award, what I've found absolutely wonderful and invigorating is to see what's going on out there with mainly young people in entrepreneurship, in social enterprises, and also what is absolutely fantastic is to see that the amount of effort being put in by young women, and our awards so far have had young women that have been the recipients. So that's really fantastic, and it's great. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Gary and Peter, for those kind words. It's now time for me to reflect on the year past. And I promise I'm going to try and keep this brief, but they're famous last words, aren't they? So let's see how we go. And what a privilege it has been to serve as president of this great club. Everyone knows it's been a challenging year, so I'm not going to focus on the challenges. I'm going to focus on the overwhelming positives that I reflect on as the year finishes. So highlights is what I'm going to focus on, and they'll be fairly general. My personal priorities for the year when we set out was to have a go at improving fellowship after a couple of years of acute deprivation of fellowship opportunities, and of course to keep up and add to the humanitarian service profile of our club if we could. Getting the club back to in-person gatherings after that lockdown delay in the first part of the year got us really working hard from early this calendar year to get our meetings back to some sort of normalcy. And we're starting to see that a bit today. I mean, getting everyone called to order, the difficult task of that. And thank you, Yadan, for enduring that. That's a sign. Actually, it's a good sign, even though we ask you to be quiet. We love the vibe that creates. On the humanitarian service side, our strength has been the continuing work of club members and committees on some pretty significant projects. Outgoing District Governor Dale has highlighted a couple which have caught my eye, but there are many more. Obviously, the great work that continues to be done under the banner and triggered by the celebration of the centenary of Rotary in Australia, which of course was pretty significant to this club because we were the first one by a few weeks. But in Trachoma and the Pacific Islands Give Every Child a Future are two notable projects that really deserve special mention. And Trachoma in particular has gone national in terms of the reach to other clubs and so on. So that's really Rotary at its best when an idea in one place goes to a whole lot of others and builds. Emerging, we've got the Tonga Emergency Response Project with Red R, as well as a major piggery initiative as part of the economic sustainability of Papua New Guinea. And we're expecting those to be pretty exciting projects as they come into swing. And these are on top of many other amazing projects. Most of if I went through the list, we'd probably be here until about 4 o'clock. So I think you deserve a little less than that. I guess the other highlight for me is the emerging clarity of what Rotary is going to look like in coming years. And we had a great Big Ideas workshop back in November, which has built already the foundations for this year's operational plan, and you'll hear more about that from Adrian. We've also, as part of our brand, really, this club's about good events, good speakers at our meetings, and there's been no shortage this year. Again, too big a list to read out, but 3 personal highlights for me. Barry Jones, who was presented with the Monash Medal, gave us an outstanding oration that really was a bit of a, can I say, a prescient analysis of what was needed in Australian politics, and hasn't the election really, shown that? And that's as much political as I'm going to say. The Thomas Baker oration, of course, just a week or 2 ago by Dr. Kathy Foley, that had an enormous and influential audience, and again was something that I think has done the club proud. But also this year we had the Angus Mitchell oration delivered by almost its namesake, James Angus, the Deputy Governor of Victoria, and he did an outstanding job as well, talking to us about medical research. We've had a couple of good social events, and of course we had a huge celebration earlier this month for International Environmental Day, with over 150 guests there enjoying that great event. So I guess the other thing that's been a highlight is just some of the terrific awardees that we've had in this room, recognising what the good people do in our community and identifying them through our club awards. We've continued to learn about how to optimise technology, and the example of that's sitting right next to me. What you may not have noticed is this one will actually fit in pretty well any lift in the buildings, so we're not going to be denied it when the ancient technology of this building crashes, as it seems to do a little, if that becomes a permanent feature here. We're still working on that. These things don't just happen. I guess the other compelling point that's come through to me this year is that they're driven by our core values. Everyone's talking about it, but service above self is the vital central core value of Rotary, and it guides most Rotarians in how they draw their priorities in what they do. And of course, the many of our dedicated volunteers in the club who've just put in an amazing effort, and I congratulate all of them. Too many to name, you'll be relieved to know. So before we begin the handover to Adrian, I just want to express some important personal thank yous and appreciation, I guess, firstly to everyone for giving me this honour of being the leader of this amazing club, something I never aspired to, but never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be doing sometime in my life. And I just have to say it's been the strength and resilience of members of this club that have got us through and starting to get us back to a state of normalcy. But several others in person that I relied on, particularly in person, that I'd like to shout out. Firstly, someone who's not here, who Adrian will be talking a little bit more about shortly, is Bev Brock, my Vice President, Humanitarian Services. As people are probably aware, Bev's been pretty crook with cancer, and she's currently halfway through a targeted chemotherapy program. Literally right now, that's where she is. Otherwise, you'd be seeing her on the screen. Of course, Jo Mavros, what can I say? We celebrated with her 15 years of service to this club very actively some months ago. But Jo is always there, always stepping up to help. And she really does help keep this show on the road. I don't think we realise just how much she does. So, someone you don't hear much from is Russell Board, our retiring honorary secretary. He's been a constant source of fearless and sound advice to me, which has helped me get through many situations. Mary Barry, who was this year's board advisor, who has been a constant source also of very sage-like advice. I say thank you. But of course, I'd be condemned pretty roundly if I didn't mention the most important person in my life, and that's my wonderful lifetime partner, Sue, my sounding board and my loyal supporter. And hey, she joined up. Many thanks to everyone. And finally, to members of the club, gave me this marvellous opportunity to be the presidential custodian of our great club. I can't find adequate words to explain what a life-changing experience the year has been. My sincere thanks to everyone. All the best. Thank you. And I wish Adrian well. Okay, before we move to the handover to Adrian, I'm going to ask Adrian to come forward shortly to help me with this. We've got an induction, and it's for, this is my penultimate act as president, and I'm asking Sapdi to come forward for induction into membership of the club. And I also call on his sponsor, Dasun Premadisa, to come up and to introduce SAP to us. Thank you, Dasun.
Thank you, President Reg. SAP, so I'm sure most of you have met SAP already, but officially I want to introduce my friend SAP D or Saptarshi D to every member of the club. He's working as a project manager, and he'll be joining the club as a club designation of project manager. And I'm sure you all will be getting access to his CV, but I want to tell you something about why I want to introduce SAP to this great club. So one of the things I've actually noticed when I met SAP about 10 years ago was this guy is one of those people who adds value to everybody around him. So he knows so many people, very different from me. I have 3 friends. So he's one of those people who know everybody, and whoever you speak to, they always speak very highly of him. And he's well liked, another thing that's very unlike me. And it's a great privilege to introduce my friend, and I look forward to working with you in years to come, within Rotary as well as outside Rotary. Welcome aboard.
Sapdi,
Yes.
we welcome you as a member of the Rotary Club of Melbourne. Today you enter an organisation with more than 1.2 million members in over 35,000 clubs across 200 countries, embracing the internationality of Rotary. We believe that you have the personal and professional qualities that will ensure the principles of Rotary will be safe in your keeping. The Rotary badge you will receive in a moment, and I hope wear with pride, indicates your commitment to the object of Rotary to which we all aspire, to encourage service above self. We expect that you will become an ambassador from us into the community in which you live, and we ask that you convey Rotary's aims in all that you do. We look forward to your pursuing with us the great work of Rotary. So with this expectation, I offer you the right hand of fellowship and ask members to rise and join me in welcoming you to membership of our club. Welcome, Sap.
Thank you, Reg.
Would you like to give us some brief remarks, please, Sap? Please be seated.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Thank you, Dawson, for an amazing welcome. Thank you, Reg. Thank you, Adrian. I look forward to meeting all of you again as a Rotarian, and look forward to working with you all in the now and into the future. I will be spending probably the next few months working with Christina Boys, who's my mentor, as well as trying to visit all the committees. I know Gary Fowler's just invited me to the sustainability meeting in August. So please, you'll have my email. Feel free to invite me to your meetings. I just want to really find where I fit in. And I know Dawson said I'm liked by many, so I will end with this because Chris Wang told me that I need to say this. Go Pies.
I think Sap's off to a great start. Okay, well, we have Adrian on his feet, so which is very appropriate because I'd like to now introduce you to our president for 2022-23. And I'm very proud to be doing this. Adrian Nelson this year celebrates his 20th anniversary or 20th year in Rotary. He was inducted into the Rotary Club of Melbourne just on the 24th of October 2018 with the classification of funeral services after transferring from the Rotary Club of Glen Ira. A qualified lawyer, Adrian is the Chief Executive Officer of Nelson Brothers Funeral Services, now in its 164th year as a family business. His Rotary CV is extensive. Prior to joining Rotary Melbourne, he was president of the Rotary Club of Glen Ira in 2005 and led Rotary District 9800's Group Study Exchange team to the Netherlands in District 1580 in 2007 as Assistant Governor, and sat on the board of District 9800 as the Public Image and Communications Director. In 2019-20, Adrian served the Rotary Club of Melbourne as our Communications Director. Adrian is joined today, as I've already said, by his wife and young family. And I now have great pleasure in reading the induction charge. Please come up, Adrian. Adrian Nelson, you have been chosen by the Rotary Club of Melbourne to assume the high office of President for the year 2022-23, as we believe that you possess the required qualities of leadership and command the esteem and confidence of your fellow members. You have served Rotary and the club with distinction and in a commendable manner, and you have a good working knowledge of the rules of the club and the objects of Rotary. In fact, if I can just add, it's been an absolutely exemplary onboarding for you in the last 2 months at a pace I've never thought I'd witness. So well done, Adrian. We, the members of Rotary Melbourne, the Rotary Club of Melbourne, pledge to you our support and loyalty during the year, as together we strive to achieve the ideals of Rotary service. I now have much pleasure, and I'm just stressing about how I'm going to do this elegantly, in presenting you with the Rotary Club of Melbourne Regalia of Office and the President's lapel pin. That's going to be a relatively easy bit, but I need to be very careful because this is an asset that needs to be guarded with one's life. Okay. It used to be whispered, but we say it publicly now. Adrian,
Thank you.
happy to present that. Do you want me to pin it on, or?
Maybe I'll do that.
Okay, good on you. One more thing. The jewellery, actually, it really came into its own for me a couple of weeks ago at an event where I took it off and someone said, "Where is he? The chain's gone." Okay, well, I'm now calling on. So, Adrian, I know how much. I've presented you the regalia. You're 106th president for the year 2023, and congratulations. I know you will be a great president, and we extend our congratulations and best wishes for a productive and exciting year ahead. I think I got a bit ahead of myself, but it's a delight to be presenting Adrian. And I now call on Sue to present the floral gift of congratulations to Louise Nelson. As I present the induction charge to Adrian. And I think now it's just about time for me to leave. And I'm going to hand the podium to President Adrian Nelson.
So, well, Reg, look, thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for everything you continue to do for the Rotary Club of Melbourne. What a wonderful year it's been for Reg. And now I get to present to you with your past president's lapel name badge. So it's very exciting. And also his past president's Rotary pin. So there you go. And if Louise, if you'd now like to present some beautiful flowers from Flowers Vazette to Sue. And Sue, just like Reg said, thanks so much for all your support, both to the club and to Reg over the past 12 months. So well done, Sue. And so just before Reg sort of steps down from the stage, and Reg, I'm trying to avoid this sounding like an obituary, something I do know a little bit about. Your year as president will certainly be remembered fondly by members of the Rotary Club of Melbourne for your balance, your stability, and also the steady evolution of the club, which has been really important over this time. For me personally, thank you, Reg, for the great support you've given, particularly in the last month. Was certainly unexpected and unconventional sort of election to this role as president, and I really couldn't have been here today without your support. So thank you very much, Reg. And if we could all give 3 cheers for Reg. So hip hip, hip hip, hip hip. Thanks. So I'm going to need to start getting used to wearing this necklace, I think. So that's right. Rotarians, family and friends, thank you. Before I get going, first of all, I'd like to introduce my special guests who are joining us here at today's Changeover luncheon. First of all, my wife Louise and sons Harry and Charles. A special thank you to Louise for making it here today. When you work full time and it's the final week of financial year end, it's certainly not an easy time. So special thanks to Louise. Louise and I last week, we celebrated our 21st wedding anniversary. And for a bit of background, obviously I'm busy with Rotary, but Louise is busy in her own right. In addition to working full time, she's also on the board of the South Metro Junior Football League, which is Victoria's premier junior football league. She's also been the first female president of the Caulfield Bears Junior Football Club and is an ambassador of the Australian Ballet. For Harry and Charles, it's their first time here at the Rotary Club of Melbourne. So also their first time to visit the toilets here on the 35th floor. So it's great to have you here today as well. My other guests, my father, Theo Nelson. So Dad was president of the Rotary Club of Williamstown in 1980-81 and is a Paul Harris Fellow. He's also past president of the Australian Funeral Directors Association, the Rolls-Royce Owners Club of Victoria, and he was also on the board of the Williamstown Hospital for many years. Dad's also now a member of the Melbourne Probus Club. My mother, Edith Nelson, sitting next to him, in addition to being side by side like she is today for all of Dad's community roles, in her own right, Mum's a past president of the Friends of Grammar, which is the Parents Association of Melbourne Grammar. My mother was also very close friends with Marjorie Payne. Now, Marjorie is best known in Rotary circles as the daughter of Sir Angus Mitchell. As an aside, many of you know that the Rotary Club of Melbourne's first ever meeting back in 1921 was down the road at the old Scots Hotel, down at 444 Collins Street. And Mum told me this week that Dad actually had his 21st birthday party at the Scots Hotel, which is no longer here as well. So quite a connection. We also have on table 6, we have past District Governor Ian Knight and his wife Jenny Knight. Ian's a past president of the Rotary Club of Werribee. He led a group study exchange team from our district to Japan, and it's really wonderful to have you here today, Ian. Ian was the one that urged me to apply to be the team leader of a group study exchange team, which I was duly selected for when I got to take a team to the Netherlands. Also on table 6 is past District Governor Ivan Mackay. Ivan's a past president of the Rotary Club of Toorak and now a member of the Rotary Club of Yarraville. So Ivan also led a group study exchange team. He went to South Korea. And whilst Governor, Ivan invited me to be his chairman of Group Study Exchange in our district. And I remember Ivan and I bringing the team from Texas that year along to the Rotary Club of Melbourne when we were at the Windsor Hotel. We have past District Governor Murray Verso. Welcome, Murray. Murray is a past president of the Rotary Club of Williamstown. He too led a group study exchange team from our district to India. Murray, as many of our club members would know, is a convener of our R100 Peace Symposium, whilst he was chair of the Rotary Foundation for our district. And he's also been a director of the End Trachoma project. Special about Murray is that Murray was inducted into the Rotary Club of Williamstown by my father Theo in 1981 when Dad was president of Williamstown. So Murray, I don't think you would have quite envisaged that you'd be sitting here on the 35th floor after 41 years in Rotary, be acknowledged by the then 9-year-old son of your incoming club president. I don't think I would have either. Next is Peter Harris, who's a special guest, but unfortunately Peter can't be with us today. He is one of our home viewers joining us online. Peter contracted COVID on Monday and wasn't able to make it. Peter was president of the Rotary Club of Brighton North when I was president at Glen Ira, and that was the same year that Mev Connell was president here at the Rotary Club of Melbourne. It was also the same year that our oldest son Harry was born. So anyone who's seen Harry would know that now that he's taller than me, it's quite a while ago. We also have Jeff Asher. Jeff Asher is a past president of the Rotary Club of Glen Ira. He represents all the members and friends from Glen Ira, and he's representing them here today for my first 15 years in Rotary. Jeff's been a stalwart of the Rotary Youth Exchange Committee for decades. Over this time, Jeff's personally changed the lives of tens of hundreds of young people, both here in Australia and overseas, giving them the opportunity to learn, to travel, and to make lifelong friendships. If you get time to sort of corner Jeff with a glass of red, ask him to tell you his story about Courtney Murtagh from remote outback Queensland and how she became a Rotary Youth Exchange student. We also here today, we have David Southwick. David's the state member for Caulfield, the deputy opposition leader, shadow minister for CBD recovery, and has been honorary member of the Rotary Club of Glen Ira for the last decade. So working closely on community initiatives when I was president of the Rotary Club of Glen Ira and Louise was president of the Caulfield Bears, David's become friends with both of us. With David's support and energy, we co-founded Rotary's Caulfield Racecourse Run, which featured thousands of runners and walkers raise over $100,000 for local community organisations. It means a lot that you can all be here sharing this day with us. Please give them a round of applause. So one person who cannot be with us today, who deserves special mention from me, is Bev Brock. Up until about 6 weeks ago, today was going to be Bev's Day. And we're all thinking of her as she undergoes her treatment. I spoke with Bev yesterday, and she was, as always, a champion of positivity. And I'm delighted that she's accepted my offer to be an ex officio member of our board this year. It's an observer role, meaning she can be part of our team as and when she feels fit, and importantly, includes her and makes her feel included in what we do. Bev really is a magic member of our club. She's inspiring, positive, and she's a great cheer squad to us all. So let's give Bev a round of applause as well. So, our club has always been one of big ideas. We're a club that helped establish Lifeline, International House, and launched the scouting movement in Australia. More recently, big ideas have empowered us to fight to end trachoma in remote Indigenous communities, to provide relief to bushfire survivors, and to give every child a future by partnering with UNICEF to vaccinate 100,000 children across 9 South Pacific nations. This year's Rotary International theme is Imagine Rotary, where our first female world president, Jennifer Jones, urges Rotarians to dream big, harness our connections, and to turn dreams into reality. You don't imagine yesterday, she says, you imagine tomorrow. The 2022-23 Rotary year is a landmark year for the Rotary Club of Melbourne. Firstly, Melbourne will host over 20,000 Rotarians from around the world at the Rotary International Convention next May. Secondly, this year is 100 years since General Sir John Monash was president of the club. A founding member, a model of leadership, integrity, community service, and personal achievement, and a great Australian. We should always remember those who came before us. Thirdly, Amanda Wendt is our 10th club member in our 102-year history to become District Governor. It's Melbourne's first in 47 years, our first female, and the first of District 9800. Anyone who attended our District Governor changeover last Saturday would bear witness that our district has a new vitality. And they'd also notice that Sue McCarthy and I are quite the dancing partners. This is a year where we have a female world president, a female director of our South Pacific zone, Jessie Harmon, and a female district governor. It highlights the diversity, equity, inclusion journey on which Rotary is travelling. Amanda, of course, will make a terrific governor. I first met Amanda in 2013 when she was secretary of the Rotary Club of Melbourne Park, and I was the assistant governor of the Heritage Cluster. I remember mentoring Amanda through an interesting period when a past president of her club woke to a police raid, and the raid was storming his home in the middle of the night. And I remember Amanda and her president, Anastasia, gave me a call to say, what do we do? So past President Reg, I hope we're not going to have any police raids on your place during this year. The City of Melbourne and our club continue to waken from our COVID slumber and from our centennial celebrations as our focus moves from the first 100 years to the next 100, or in Jennifer Jones's words, imagining tomorrow. The past few years has turned Melbourne on its head. We live differently, we work differently, we move around our city differently, and we embrace Rotary differently than what we did only a couple of years ago. Given that this has coincided with the celebrations of our first 100 years, the start of this second century enables us to imagine and to adapt accordingly. Technology, as you can see here, now helps us to engage in our meetings from afar, whether as a member or a guest attending an event, or featuring a prominent international guest speaker, which you will experience this year. You can be part of our club whether you're dining here in the Sofitel on Collins Street, or in regional areas, working interstate, travelling on the other side of the world, or isolating at home. Our hybrid meetings proudly are now a permanent feature of our club. As a fifth generation funeral director, I see the value of traditions and ceremony. Rotary Melbourne should be proud of its traditions. I can't wait for some of our key events, including our Angus Mitchell and Thomas Baker orations, and the presentation of the Monash Medal, Young Achievers and Vocational Service Awards, all opportunities to showcase leaders of our community. All of these add to our rich club heritage. Our lunch meetings and events will be dynamic, they'll be relevant, and they'll challenge our thinking. I want you to be proud to bring your friends, your colleagues, and family to our club events. Once a month, in lieu of our lunch meeting, we will continue to brace a monthly evening to engage with others and to promote humanitarian service. This will open us all to experience Rotary in a different way. Now, we won't call them meetings, they'll be an evening with. Our first one for the year, for example, on Wednesday, 13th of July, is an evening with Cameron Glover. Cameron, of course, is a valued member of our club, and he'll speak in his capacity as the CEO of Interplast. It'd be great to see those who haven't got to an evening yet to come along on the 13th. Our imagination and our big ideas extend to our humanitarian service. Rotary's new seventh area of focus, the environment and sustainability, as you saw today, has inspired our members with new projects, new awards, new events, and new volunteer experiences. Internationally, we aim to strengthen our ability to be good neighbours in the Indo-Pacific region, as we already demonstrate with our Give Every Child a Future initiative. New projects include training frontline emergency response leaders in Tonga, and in the remote highlands of Papua New Guinea, establishing a community piggery enterprise to enable 180 new farming families, including women and young people, to enter the economy. These embryonic projects have long-term potential to make a substantial ongoing impact for our neighbours. The Rotary Club of Melbourne is at its best when we are strategic, when we partner with others, and when we utilise our extensive networks. President-elect Chris Soteropoulos leads the creation of our Social Enterprise Accelerator, with partners including the Innovation Precinct at Swinburne University. This accelerator will develop projects aligned with Rotary's 7 areas of focus and engage people from outside of Rotary. We will build leadership amongst our current Rotarians and also attract a new generation of leaders to our club. And how great was it today that we actually inducted a new member, a great example of a new generation of leaders to our club. And they will form the next generation to match past icons like Angus Mitchell, John Monash, and David Whitner. A dynamic club is the way to attract dynamic new members. Our dynamic club this year is led by a dynamic team. One aspect of taking on the role of president-elect so close to the start of the year has meant that my team was already in place when I was elected to the role. So thanks very much, Reg, for putting together this team of outstanding Rotarians. As our new district governor, Amanda, would say, this group is next level special. Now, I'd love to introduce you to your club's board for 2022-23, for those who aren't currently in Europe at least. And so when I read out your name, please be upstanding. First of all, our club's honorary secretary, John Saunders. Our honorary treasurer, Samir Bandakar. Immediate past president. So please stand, John. That's right. Samir, you're there, down there. Immediate past president, Reg Smith. Our vice president of club management and communications, Peter Davis. Director of membership, Bernie Walsh. Oh, Bernie McIntosh, sorry. I've had too many district functions lately, Bernie. That's all right. Director of club events and fundraising, George Giamadakis. Director of communications and partnerships, Carolyn Burr. Director of sustainability and governance, Marg Lesser. Our vice president of humanitarian services and president nominee, Catherine Baxter. Director of International Service, Carol Bond. Director of Youth and Vocational Service, Iqbal Rita. And Director of Community Service and our President-elect, Chris Soteropoulos. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate the Rotary Club of Melbourne board for 2022-23. Be seated. So what do I bring to you to lead this iconic club and first-rate team? Well, to start with, I am a younger president than what our club is used to. And hopefully with that comes some energy and the ability to blend my generation's progress with the grand traditions of the Rotary Club of Melbourne. I've also been exposed to Rotary around the district and around the world. From visiting Rotary's first club, the Rotary Club of Chicago, to meeting astronaut Andy Thomas as we waited to go on stage at a district conference in Canberra. From attending a nighttime Rotary meeting at a bar in Amsterdam's red light district, to teaching Texans how to play two-up at the Rotary Club of New Braunfels, and meeting 4-year-old Faylene from Vanuatu, who was brought to Australia by ROMAC, Rotary Oceania Medical Aid for Children, to have a tumour successfully removed from her forehead by Australian surgeons, a tumour the size of a grapefruit. My Rotary experience tells me two key things. One, that we are part of a far wider organisation than just the Rotary Club of Melbourne. So let us embrace this international network. And two, that we want to enjoy it. Yes, let's have a good time. Forget our Rotary pins and our name badges for a second. Our smiles are our badges of friendliness. That's what welcomes others and makes us want to spend time together. As Paul Harris, the founder of Rotary, said, the lure of Rotary has ever been the friendships that have been found there. So please welcome our guests with a smile. Tell them one thing about Rotary and about you, and they will remember, just as you still remember the first Rotarian who smiled and welcomed you. When we as Rotarians bring our dreams and big ideas into reality, we've got to celebrate them. And this year, there's no better way to celebrate Rotary than hosting a once-in-a-generation event, the Rotary International Convention in Melbourne, from the 27th to the 31st of May, 2023. So block off your diaries now for the whole week. Club activities, and this is just our club activities during the week, are going to include a cocktail party for our sister and friendship clubs from all over the world, a permanent Rotary legacy to be launched at Rotary Park next to the Botanic Gardens, home-hosted dinners, and a post-convention celebration hosted by our District Governor Amanda with Rotary International President Jennifer Jones. All of this, plus the wonderful program led by the chair of the host organising committee, our club's own Mary Barry. Where's Mary? There you are, Mary. Very good. Now, as of today, I can confirm that the current registrations for next year's convention have just reached 10,000. 11 months out, we've now reached 10,000. So what I'd also like to do today is to officially launch the countdown to the convention. We have 48 weeks to go. And each week, so yes, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. And each week we're going to count down until we get down to 0. And I know you've blocked off your diaries already. And I'd love to see you all there. Now on Sunday, my youngest son Charles and I were driving down Punt Road in Paran, and I pointed out that the giant heart and the name Baker, which is on the side of the Alfred Hospital, I explained to him that Thomas Baker was the president of the Rotary Club of Melbourne, and that there once also was a company called Kodak. Our younger generation will never know of Kodak. Yeah. I mentioned that the Baker Foundation was established after Thomas Baker died, and that the foundation has supported so many of our club's projects over decades, including a recent 6-figure donation to our Give Every Child a Future project. Charles asked if we do anything to help the homeless. Well, of course, I said. We work closely with the Smith family, and we're working on new strategies to close the gap and end homelessness, particularly in the city of Melbourne. Charles said I should go online, and we should be like the YouTuber who's just raised over $1 million in 23 days to help homeless families fighting hunger, all whilst living on 1 cent a day, crossing one side of the United States to the other. So just think of that for a minute. One person on YouTube raising $1 million in 23 days. I told Charles I didn't think all our members would have seen this on YouTube, so promise to let you all know. If you're going to look him up, his name's Ryan Trahan, and that's how you raise funds and awareness today. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. And Chris Soteropoulos, is Chris here today? No, but hopefully we can apply this to our Social Enterprise Accelerator. So 2020-23 is a year of big ideas, a year of imagination, and a year of strengthening the Rotary Club of Melbourne for the century ahead. I'm privileged to lead this great club and its inspiring board of directors in this year. But remember the purpose of Rotary. It's to bring together business and professional leaders in order to provide humanitarian service and to advance goodwill and peace around the world. Thank you to each of you for playing your part. And now, of course, comes the most important part of any Rotary event, and that's the drawing of the raffle. And of course, my first official presidential duties. Well, thanks to you, Dan, but in his final official role at our club, I'd actually like to ask District Governor Dale Hoy to draw it, even though he has bought 6 tickets for himself. So it's a purple ticket, D84. And we have a winner. Well done. Very good. That's it. That's it. All right. Oh, so there's one prize? Just the one prize? That's all right. That's all right. Now, in closing, I want to thank all our visitors and guests, including our maestro, David Cram. So thank you, David, for... Yeah. Of course, thank you, Joe Mavros, for everything you do. Yes, again. And US Paul Harrow Fellows, Gary and Peter, our outgoing District Governor, Dale, and we wish our incoming District Governor and Greg all the very best for the coming year. Thank you to my guests and supporters, including past President Reg and Sue. Now, next week, we're hitting the road running, and our guest speaker is the Honourable Heidi Victoria, who's a former government arts minister, but now is a photographer, and she'll be speaking on The Show Must Go On. It's a not to be missed event. So I can hope you can join us here at number 35. And now to close the meeting, could you please be upstanding for the national anthem?